Today, let's talk about something almost everyone messes up at least once. The 6 biggest medication mistakes that can make your pills completely useless. Today, you'll find out why splitting pills is a bad idea, what actually happens if you take expired meds, and why taking your pills with milk or tea can ruin everything. Let's get started. Mistake number 1, splitting your pills. You know that little line down the middle of some pills? It looks like the pill is politely telling you, go ahead, break me in half. That's where problems begin. The active ingredient, the stuff that actually treats you, is usually just a tiny portion of the whole pill. It might be 1/100th or even 1,000th of its mass. The rest is just harmless filler. So that pill isn't microscopic and impossible to pick up. In manufacturing, they make sure each full pill contains the correct dose. Like, for example, 100 milligrams of aspirin in one aspirin pill. But inside that little pill, the active ingredient isn't always perfectly spread out. So if you break it in half, in one piece might have 80 milligrams and the other only 20 milligrams. So half a pill does not mean half a dose. And for some medications, getting the exact dose isn't just important, it's crucial. Imagine someone takes half a blood pressure pill. It doesn't work because that half had a very low dose of an active ingredient. They think, well, the half dose was too weak. Take a full pill on top of that. And now their pressure goes down dramatically. That can lead to fainting, injury, or even a stroke. People sometimes try to save money by buying pills with a higher dose they need and then splitting them. But that often turns into wild, unpredictable drug levels. Big spikes in blood pressure, for example, or on the flip side, zero effect at all. Another reason not to split pills, the coating. If your pill has an enteric coating, is there for a reason. Without that coating, the active ingredient basically falls apart the moment it touches stomach acid. Break the coating and the drug simply won't work. Same with capsules. Don't open them and swallow just the powder. That's like, sending an astronaut into space without the spacecraft or even the spacesuit. You're just wasting your money. And don't cut suppositories either. First, you'll end up with sharp edges. And if you're already using a suppository, the area is probably already very sensitive. Second, the medication inside is also unevenly distributed. One half may work, and the other half might as well be a birthday candle. Never ever split extended release tablets. Those once-a-day pills are engineered like a tiny time-release sandwich. Inside, there might be 2 or 3 doses layered together. Each layer dissolves at a different time, like a Russian nesting doll. Break the tablet, and the entire dose dumps into your blood at once. That can cause an overdose, plus the medication that was supposed to last 8 or 12 hours will fizzle out in 2 hours or even less. So, what can you really split? Only tablets with a clear, deep score mark that specifically say in the instructions, this tablet may be split or this pill may be split. Send this information to your friends and family. They also should know that. And of course, subscribe to my channel. Mistake number 2. What you use to wash your pills down. The next big mistake is what you drink with your pill. Let's break this down. Do not take antibiotics with milk. They bind to the calcium in it and basically stop working. Milk also prevents thyroid hormone medications from being absorbed. Never take enteric-coated pills or capsules with milk. The fat in milk dissolves the outer shell of the pill, and the stomach acid destroys the drug inside. So the medication just doesn't work. Iron and calcium interfere with each other's absorption. So iron supplements also don't go well with milk. If you take aspirin with milk, your stomach might get irritates less, yes. But the drug may also work less effectively. And for some medication, there is the opposite situation. For vitamin D, prednisolone, dexamethasone, and some other pills, milk actually boosts absorption and can cause an overdose. Caffeine and tannins in tea and coffee can bind to medications and make them insoluble. They literally turn into a sediment and don't get absorbed, meaning the drug just doesn't work. This happens with, for example, iron supplements. But some drugs may become dangerous when combined with tea, coffee, or cocoa, especially cardioglycosides like digoxin, for example, papaverine, theophylline, codeine, and any pills containing caffeine. All nitrogen-containing pills, including nitroglycerin and Viagra, for example, should not be taken with tea or coffee too. Tea and coffee also have a mild diuretic effect. So, if a medication is eliminated through the kidneys, it will leave your body way faster and won't have time to work properly. It's like, hello, goodbye. The pill just passes right through. Keep this in mind. If you are taking medication, avoid the alcohol. Especially dangerous combos are antibiotics plus alcohol, or acetaminophen or paracetamol, it's the same, plus alcohol. The latter is extremely toxic for the liver in this combination, so avoid this. Painkillers, fever reducers, and antibiotics taken with alcohol are absorbed too quickly and can cause overdose and poisoning. Avoid alcohol while taking any medication that affects the nervous system. Antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, sleeping pills, antipsychotics, and so on. It's a very important thing. Well, it's not just about what you wash the pill down with. It also matters what you drank or ate 2 hours before and 1 hour after taking the pill. If a drug doesn't get along with milk, that means no milk 2 hours before and 1 hour after the pill. Not just don't sip milk with it. Not all drug-drink interactions have been formally studied. Many were discovered simply because people took a new medication, washed it down with something unusual, got hospitalized, and the doctor filed a report. The patient washed their pill down with kombucha, for example, and developed a rash shaped like the Milky Way. If those reports pile up, the pharmaceutical company updates the instructions. Do not take with kombucha, for example. So, it's best not to experiment on yourself. Take your medication with plain water. And not just a tiny sip, but a full glass. It can save you from a lot of trouble. The next mistake is improper storage. A lot of people keep their entire medicine cabinet on that little shelf above the eggs in the fridge. But the fridge is often humid, and not all medications like cold temperatures. Some actually becomes less effective because of it. Some medications do need fridge storage. For example, insulin, certain antibiotics, some probiotics, and specific immunomodulators. That's easy. If you see store in a cool place, that means in the fridge. If you see store at room temperature, store it in any cabinet away from heat, moisture, and sunlight. Your bathroom is also the wrong place for medications. It's humid and the temperature is constantly changing. Same with glove compartment in your car, where pills can get damp, overheated, and spoiled. And then you are taking them and wondering, why isn't this working? Next, let's talk about generic substitutes and what happens if you take an expired pill. Stay with me. The internet is full of lists recommending cheaper substitutes for expensive medications. But before you use these lists, there are a few tips you should know. First, the substitute often doesn't actually contain the same active ingredient. Second, even if the active ingredient is the same, generics often use different fillers and different excipients. Those differences can affect both the drug's effectiveness and the side effects. For example, you are not allergic to the filler in the original medication, but you could be allergic to the filler in the generic. The original tablet could have a protective coating that doesn't irritate your stomach, for example, but the cheap substitute doesn't, and so hello, gastritis. If the active ingredients are different altogether, things get even more dangerous. For example, both ingredients might lower blood pressure, but one causes fewer side effects, which is exactly why your doctor prescribed that one. And yes, sometimes one medication is made, for example, in Germany or the United States, and the equivalent is made in Bangladesh or India. Production standards could be different in different countries. You decide what you are comfortable with, but approach online substitution lists with healthy skepticism. If you do choose a substitute, check that the active ingredient, dose, form, manufacturer country all match the original. The fifth mistake is taking expired medication. And this one is tricky. The expiration date on the package is the period during which the manufacturer guarantees that the drug remains effective. The pill won't crumble, the syrup won't separate, the suspension won't smell weird, and the active ingredient will be active. But most pharmaceutical companies don't test what happens 5, 10, or 15 years after that date. If a medication expires, for example, in 2 years, that means it was tested during those 2 years. After that, no one really knows. There have been interesting studies, though. In 2006, researchers at Sandoz tested 122 different medications 5 years after their expiration dates and found that almost 90% were still safe to use. Another study in 2012 tested 8 drugs that expired about 40 years earlier. Many still showed chemical activity. But remember, that was only a chemical analysis. No one gave these pills to actual people, and we don't know whether they remain safe. So, if I were fighting zombies in a post-apocalyptic world and stumbled upon a pharmacy, I probably wouldn't care much about expiration dates. But in real life, better skip expired meds. Some medications just lose their effectiveness when expired, but others can literally turn into toxins. These include insulin, antibiotics, liquid suspensions, and nitroglycerin. And if you are not sure whether a date on a package is the expiration date or the manufacturing date, here's the simple rule. For medications, the date is always the expiration date. For supplements, the date is usually the manufacturing date. So that's easy. The last mistake on our list is taking medication together with food. A lot of us do this to protect the stomach from a harsh pill. But some medications simply don't work as well or don't get absorbed properly if there's food in your stomach or intestines. And the first one is paracetamol or acetaminophen. People often confuse paracetamol with other painkillers like aspirin, for example, which should be taken with food or milk to avoid irritating the stomach. But paracetamol works differently. Food, especially fruits high in pectin, such as apples, pears, plums, or oranges, can slow down how quickly paracetamol is absorbed. As a result, it kicks in more slowly and may not work so well. You will wait for the effect longer. The second group is antibiotics and dairy products. Milk, yogurt, cheese, calcium-rich foods, plus fruits, soda, dry wine. Calcium interferes with how the body absorbs antibiotics. So if you take them together with dairy products, their effectiveness drops dramatically. Many of these antibiotics also don't mix well with acidic foods. fruits, juices, soda, dry wine, and dishes containing vinegar. All of this can weaken the medication, not only alcohol. Antihistamines work best on an empty stomach. It's also not recommended to take them with oranges, grapefruits, or apple juices. These juices can reduce absorption, making the medication less effective. If you are taking warfarin, avoid taking it together with foods high in vitamin K, like broccoli, cabbage, spinach, or leafy green vegetables. Vitamin K thickens the blood, which works against what warfarin is supposed to do. This can reduce the drug's effectiveness and even increase the risk of stroke or heart attack. And the main enemies in this list are statins and grapefruit. Statins, which are used to lower cholesterol, should never be paired with grapefruit or grapefruit juice. Grapefruit can raise the level of statins in your bloodstream, increasing the risk of side effects like muscle pain or liver damage. It's better to avoid grapefruit entirely while taking these medications. That's really important. No grapefruits. If the instructions say take this pill on an empty stomach, that doesn't mean you can swallow the pill and then start eating a minute later. No. You need to wait at least 1 hour before eating, or take the medications 2 hours after a meal. That's what empty stomach means for most medications. Medications are chemicals, and chemicals react with food, drinks, environment, and even the internal chemistry of our body. Light, moisture, heat, or even the wrong snack at the wrong time can change how a drug works. Just because you swallowed a pill doesn't automatically guarantee it will be effective. But now you know a little more about what helps and what gets in the way, so your medications can actually do their job. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, stay healthy, and see you in the next videos.